All right, testing. Voice is fine. Just a quick heads up. It's raining here, so I might have power outages or similar issues. So if I disappear, that's probably the reason. And Tian is here with the first comment of the stream. This is so awesome. It's been a while. It's been like, I don't know, 6 months without streaming. And the moment I go live, I already have someone here. This is insane. Ah. Not even sure what I'm gonna do today. But I've been thinking. It's been a while since my last stream, and it's also been a while since I do any sort of morning journaling. I don't even like calling it like that because it sounds like such a trendy, vast word nowadays. So, yeah, I don't know. But I've been thinking for a while to actually mix my streams with my morning thought processing. So it could be a good idea for me to just doodle here and run for a while. Antian with the comment, last time I was here was when you were working on a commission. Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's been forever since I quote unquote finished that commission. It's funny because the quote unquote client was happy with just the sketches. It's funny because I put most of my effort somewhere else, but hey, people like what they like. And it would be actually a lot easier for me to just focus on the sketching, which is the part I enjoy the most. I guess people can feel when you actually enjoy something. Anyway, I guess it's time for some excuses and a little bit of mumbling words. I've been working on trying to get a dedicated space for my art and my streams, because right now I'm sharing this room and it's kind of hard to just go live whenever I feel like it. Because, you know, for streaming I kind of prefer to be alone and quiet. And lately I don't have a lot of alone time, so whenever I have the chance to be alone and quiet, I'd rather just keep my drawing private. Been working a lot on prints or finished pieces for the conventions. So that's really keeping me busy. And a lot of that process is me just jumping from one piece to the other. I don't know if people would be interested in seeing that kind of process. Probably all on my head, because people don't really care as long as they can see someone drawing. But yeah, like it's more like I have pieces like these and I can have like 3 or 4 open at the same time, and sometimes I keep jumping from one to the other, or I just stand up and go drink something or go outside for a walk and come back and work on it for like another 10 minutes. Or sometimes I just sit down and work for like 10 hours. It's a very, very random process. And Tian, how you doing lately? Yeah, I was just explaining a little bit what's going on with my life. So most of what's keeping me busy right now is my own work, my own prints for conventions and selling. There is also a lot of behind the scenes boring work that doesn't involve drawing at all. And it's almost like becoming a full-time job in terms of the busyness, but not really a full-time job in terms of revenue. So yeah, I don't know how am I gonna handle that in the future. But for now, I just draw. Which brings me back to the main topic I really wanted to think out loud during this stream. I was talking with a friend recently about how hard it becomes sometimes to just sit and draw. You know, sometimes drawing is just this whimsical thing where everything works, everything aligns. You just sit down, you have a lot of fun. Drawing turns out good. You share it with people, they also enjoy it, and everything is kind of working. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you just don't feel like drawing, or drawing doesn't feel good, or you put a lot of effort and drawing doesn't seem to work. Or maybe people don't respond the way you would like to, although that's probably a different discussion. Because we shouldn't worry too much about how other people feel about our drawings. For me, it's more about the process and the work you put in. But yeah, when it comes to not feeling like drawing or drawing's not working, I think it's totally fine to just not draw at all. Especially if this is a hobby. And even if this is your job or you're trying to make it your job. I don't know, I like to think about Miyazaki the Studio Ghibli guy, not the other one, although I love both. But you can see in the documentary as well, they're on a tight schedule, they're not gonna make it, they're running out of time, and the dude is just holding his coffee, staring into nothingness. And that's quote unquote him being productive, because sometimes all you need to be able to go back to work is to be extremely bored. Instead of just trying to find a distraction, it's more like, let's lock in into emptiness and void, and let's see where things go. But yeah, it's true. Maybe that doesn't work all of the time, or maybe you are really, really, really tight on time and you need to finish something in a week or in a few days or even just today. And in those times, yeah, you kind of have to lock in and get it done. But I don't think the issue is there most of the time. The issue goes kind of deeper than that situation, because that's just pure discipline, and most people can actually pull it through. It's like any other job. You just lock in and get it done and move on. But that's not gonna make you feel better about your drawing. That's not gonna make your drawings feel more enjoyable. All we have to do is just keep going, lol, even though we're tired as fuck. Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point. And but like the main distinction here for me is like, this is not some sort of David Goggins bullshit of like, yeah, just fucking do it, or this, hardcore mindset of let's just, you just gotta show up and you just gotta do it and you're like a fucking trooper. Yes, of course you can do things that way, but what I'm thinking more is like sort of softness. Like, I like to think about it like hiking on a rainy day. Sometimes when you go hiking, usually if the weather is nice and the views are cool, it's all enjoyable. You just go out there, you enjoy the weather, enjoy the views, the walk is nice, you're there with some friends or maybe alone, depends on what you prefer, and everything is aligned. But sometimes when you're doing like a longer hike, it's just raining and everything is gray and you don't get to see any of the views, and maybe that section is like 20 kilometers of a freaking gravel road with no views and foggy environment, and all you see is your footsteps and moist in the face, and everything is misery. But you can also find beauty in that. It's just one step after the other. And sadly enough, sometimes drawing can be that. You just wake up on a Thursday morning. I don't even know what day it is. It is a Thursday today for me. Yeah, and you just sit down. You don't even feel like drawing, but you don't even push through. You just slowly and calmly, one step after the other, you just keep going. And maybe this goes nowhere. Maybe this is, not useful. Maybe this doesn't become the next print I'm gonna be selling, but who cares? It's still better than not drawing. It's tricky because it's not even about being tired, because if I was tired, I'd be like, okay, I need some rest. And rest can take many shapes. Rest can be me sleeping a little bit more. Rest can be going for a walk. or just sitting down and reading a book, or doing something I haven't done at all, or even doing some physical exercise. That's a form of rest too, especially if your work is like really mentally taxing, like a creative work or like any kind of office job. No, sometimes it's not about being tired. Sometimes it's just about not feeling it. I feel like the biggest issue we have nowadays is just the amount of noise everywhere. Yeah, I hate it when I'm not in the mood. Exactly. Although, to be fair, most of the times, the mood for me comes back just the moment I start doodling. But also, it gets really tricky if you go into drawing with the idea of I'm gonna trick myself the moment I grab my stylus or my pencil or my pen. The mood is gonna come back, and then you sit there waiting for the mood to be ready, and it doesn't happen. It's almost like the body knows that you're trying to trick yourself. It's glitchy. You weird Photoshop. I really think things get really tricky once you angle too much into whatever it is you're doing. You know, if your income is tied to your drawing, if your sense of identity and self-worth is tied to your drawing, then everything becomes a mess. Because anything can make that crumble from all sorts of directions. Man, I totally forgot how easy it is for me to actually just lock in and focus when I'm streaming. So I should probably start doing it again. And I just noticed before, when I was setting up the stream, I got a YouTube notification that it's been a year since my first stream, which is crazy. Yep, it's been a year since I did my first test stream. I think I started streaming regularly when I was doing the chemo challenge, which I think it's happening again in March, but I totally forgot about it. And probably that's a good thing for me, because I tend to get carried away with those challenges. They give you a false sense of accomplishment that, yeah, it can feel good, but it's really bringing nothing to me at the moment. I think the problem with that is that, yeah, like I said, it gives you a sense of accomplishment because you're working towards something beyond your own daily whims or desires. But that's actually what a project, like a personal project, does to you. And any kind of challenge like that, like an Inktober or something like that, it's gonna give you the feeling of a personal project because you're working on something kind of bigger than yourself. But it's not really for yourself. It's just something that someone else made up. But if you manage to find something like that just for yourself, something like that that you made up yourself, something like that that it's gonna help you to stay in track whenever you have days like today that you don't feel like you want to do it or you don't feel like you want to keep going. You can just open up your project or start a new sketch for that project or do a little bit of writing about that project or just think a little bit about that project. And if you manage to just put in like even 10 minutes, it's like that's progress, and that's getting you closer to your destination. Like I was saying before with that example about the hike. Yeah, it's an awful day, you don't feel like it, maybe you're sick, but hey, you're getting closer to wherever you were going. Do you think hard being an artist these days? I mean, absolutely. Like, I think being an artist has always been hard. But it's also very easy because like, making a living as an artist, that's really hard. So of course, but we should not tangle like the economical side to the being side. Being an artist is just being. You can do anything for a job, and you can maybe just doodle 10 minutes a day, or have a sketchbook that you fill on your breaks at work, or just do a little bit of morning drawing before going to work, and that doesn't make you less of an artist. And I don't think that's hard in that sense. So the act of being as an artist, it shouldn't be hard. The act of making art can be really hard. Yeah, I don't know, it gets really tricky. I feel like before all this AI bullshit that we have going on right now, and all the economic crisis that is coming with all the AI bubble and the industry of entertainment and all the wars going on, it's gonna get really tricky. But the last few years, I would say that they have been like the sort of golden age of art making in our time. Because yes, there is a lot of competition, and some things are shit, but it's been easier than ever to actually have access to making art, learning about making art, sharing the art, and also making money out of your art. Like, it's been the best it has ever been in all human history, I think. The fact that someone can be just drawing in their bedroom and reaching thousands or millions of people and making money, that has never been the case. So in a sense, it's like the best times ever to actually be an artist. But the fact that it's that quote unquote easy and accessible, it also makes it that there is a lot more competition, and it also devalues everything. So it's very tricky. Plus, from my country, it's a little more hard to get into the industry. Yeah. Which country were you on, Antian? I don't remember. But yeah, back in the day when I started getting into concept art, it was relatively easier to get to work overseas. Indonesia. Oh, I see. Well, all I can say is that the industry is kind of fucked for everyone nowadays, so at least you've got that going on. But I was talking more about like the independent side of being an artist, because I think that's more important than the industry, because the industry changes so quickly. I feel like nowadays it's oh man, it's just like from the technical and the practical side, it's probably the easiest because we have access to all the materials, we have access to all the knowledge, we have access to all the resources. But when it comes to the internal side, it's almost like we are having a crisis of meaning. But now I sound like fucking Jordan Peterson. But yeah, it's like people struggle a lot to find the inner motivation to make art. But I think if you make it in the industry, if you the coolest job, you mean like if you make it into the industry, you get like the coolest job, or you make it into the industry if you do the coolest work before getting in? It's I don't know if I'm understanding you correctly. Yeah, to its type. I see. Uh, well, yes and no. Because right now it's getting really weird. Before, when all this was happening, like, and I'm talking about like maybe the 80s or whatever, the people were starting to be really creative with the movie industry, or in the 90s when video games starting to become more and more popular. Yes, that kind of was the case because you would people working on those industries would just go out into the world and scout for the weirdest freaking artist in every corner of the world to be like, that guy is doing something crazy that no one else is doing, like, let's get that guy and let's build a product around that. And that was kind of cool because the artist was doing their thing, and then you get someone with money and ideas to present that in a different shape, and you can make a cool product out of that. But I feel like that nowadays it has become almost the opposite. It's like the industry is dictating what they think it's cool, and then all of the artists are trying to accommodate that ideal of coolness. You know, it's like people trying to work for Marvel or DC, or people trying to work for Riot Games or whatever is popular nowadays. And this is not a critique to these particular companies or styles. You know, I think they do really cool stuff. It's just that they have established like a pattern or an idea of what is supposed to be cool, and then you have artists trying to accommodate that instead of artists doing what an artist should be doing, that is just fucking experimenting and throwing things out there until they find something that resonates with them and people. And I feel like in that sense we are actually losing a lot of opportunities. And I feel like a good example of that is how popular are becoming indie games nowadays, because indie developers are taking risks. They're the ones actually, you know, doing what the industry was doing at the beginning. They're the ones looking for the weird artist that is doing something that no one else is trying, or having the crazy ideas for the video games or the animation. There is a lot of, you know, indie animation or personal projects that people are trying to animate that I think are really cool nowadays, because for an individual it's a lot easier to take the risk. You know, multi-billion company is not going to take a multi-billion risk just to try some weird crazy shit. They want to make sure that they don't lose their money. But that's the opposite of creativity. I don't know, it's so weird. My coffee's getting cold. I always forget about it. Have I ever drawn a centaur? Actually, I might have done a doodle or two, like, as in a little bit of character design of a creature resembling a centaur. But no, I have never done like a proper finished drawing or piece of a centaur. Maybe I'll do one, because I've been thinking about making a little project inspired by the astrology signs. I don't want to draw like, you know, just like the zodiac signs per se, but like probably do some pieces inspired by that. So I think a centaur would be really cool. I just have so many ideas and projects right now. And I feel like the more I'm drawing, the longer it takes me to actually finish a piece. It's almost like instead of becoming faster and more efficient the more I finish products, well, the more I finish pieces, I mean, products. Look at me talking like a freaking business. The more I finish pieces, it's almost like it raises the bar for the next one, and I want to go even deeper into the next one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna zoom in and do even more detail, or I'm gonna try and do some crazy texture, or I'm just gonna do this part where I do whatever. Like, I don't know, like I just go crazy and start designing every single hatch. You know, sometimes I do like an entire drawing like this just to then lower the opacity and start over again, like hatching line by line. I find that really engaging, but it's also super time consuming. There is 5 people watching. Cool. It's, yeah, like I said at the beginning, it's nice to see that I can disappear for half a year, and the moment I'm back, there is people responding to it. That's always encouraging. I've been saying that for a while, but I have to actually give it a go to making a full abstract piece. Because a lot of the drawings I'm doing lately feel almost like an excuse to, hey, I'm just gonna draw something cool, something that looks like this or looks like that, just so I can have fun with the lines and the shapes connecting to each other in a very random way, or in a very appealing or pleasing way. It's weird. It's weird to put into words, like the idea of aesthetics in an abstract way. So I guess I have to actually do it and see what happens. For sure. No, I want it here. I want texture. This is gonna take forever. Something I've been doing lately is writing a lot next to my pieces. Sometimes I open Photoshop file and all the corners around the drawing are just filled with text. I just write notes to myself, like little reminders, maybe things I want to do, like, you know, a particular technique I want to use, or just little notes to myself. Sometimes I even write down what soundtrack I was listening to while I was working on that piece, as in, hey, when I come back to this, I want to be in the same mood. Although a lot of that is just wishful thinking. Okay, I feel like to adjust values. Probably gonna clean up all these lines on a new layer anyway. I just wanna adjust the values quicker. What brush do I use? Right now I'm just using the airbrush, but this is not most of the time for me, which is very simple. The one I'm using for these pieces most of the time is a brush called Ultimate Steven. I got it from Steven Zapata brush pack. It's basically like a texture brush that feels like you're drawing on paper with a pen, and it's very simple. It has like no opacity, jitters or anything. It's just like, I don't know, how do I put it? Yeah, it just have like shape dynamics, so it gets thinner with a thin line and thicker, but I don't like having opacity to the brush. I like it to behave more like a pen. And then I have like the same brush into eraser mode. That way I can create these textures, and then when I erase, I also get the same texture. But to be fair, you can do this with any brush. I just like using this one for the memes and to keep consistency between pieces, but you could totally have like a, I don't know, like a simple hard round brush, and if you do it like really small, you could get a very similar effect. I don't even know where I got this one from, to be fair. I don't know in what platform is Steven sharing his brushes or things. I have an endless collection of every artist in the world brush packs, because they all have their own. Oh yeah, true, I was airbrushing. Yeah, I want all these to be darker, that's for sure. To be fair, I'm actually kinda lost with this piece. I just wanted to poke it a little bit and see where it goes, and also I thought it would look really cool as a thumbnail for my comeback to streaming. That's how shallow my motivation is today. The awesome Benji. What design tablet are you using? I'm using a actually pretty old, huge Intuos. It's a Wacom Intuos 4L, the size. It's basically the active area of the tablet is it's an A4 size, which is pretty uncommon. Usually people go for smaller tablets, for screenless tablets. But I like this one because it allows me to use the arm movement a lot more than a smaller tablet. I feel like a lot of people have like wrist problems and carpal tunnel problems because they use smaller tablets and they use the wrist and the fingers to draw instead of the arm. So that's why I went for like the biggest tablet I could find. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know, I've been using this one for many years and it seems to be working fine. I think Wacom is not giving me updates anymore for the drivers, but so far it's still working, so I hope I can keep it for a few more years. Wow. What the fuck is wrong? The idea for this is fill it up with flowers. It's gonna be painful. Hey, let's get the idea down first, and then we can deal with the consequences. I just saw an art book called Cannabis Works by Tatsuki Tanaka. It's amazing. That sounds like a Japanese name, so probably it's up my alley. Let me Google that quickly. Oh man, that is so cool. This is the kind of messy, highly detailed type of shit that I like. This is so cool. All this organic machinery. Oh man, so many books and not enough money or space in my shelves to keep them. It's hard to know nowadays, but it could very well be just pen and ink and then digital color. Most artists nowadays use a combination of everything they have available, so you never know. But yeah, it's really cool. Man, I totally have to improve my visual library for flowers. Probably that's gonna be me for the next streams. Maybe drawing some cool flowers. Give me a second. I heard in Japan artists now have to draw live to apply on companies because they're afraid of someone using AI. Yeah, I've heard those news too. That's probably for very specific jobs and companies, but I don't know. I think it's a cool touch. It must be scary though. Like, imagine having to draw live at a job interview. Although, to be fair, I feel like sometimes I'd be more comfortable doing that than actually showing a portfolio. But that's just me. The horizontal lines here. Yeah, I think I like it like this. A lot of the hardest things of this type of drawings is actually these silly, stupid decisions of, am I gonna hatch this horizontally, diagonal, vertical? So that's why I like to do these quicker versions where I try out these things. Sometimes I just fill up an entire area and it takes me a couple of hours to then realize that, nah, I don't like it that way. Yeah, this needs a lot more contrast. I'm gonna go darker with this. These consistent or different shapes? Love the horn. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite things to draw lately. Like this type of goat horns. Like you have so many opportunities for hatching in different directions. I love these changes of like sort of contour line here doing the shape and then all these opposing hatching directions just to do the shading. It's a lot of fun. You'd probably get some of my references from Gustave Doré or Franklin Booth just to remind me the type of hatching I'm going for. But I guess it's fine to use that on the cleanup version. Right now I can still be messy. Well, like I said before, I don't know, I feel like this one is taking me forever because I don't really know where I want to go with it. But that's why now I can actually allow myself to quote-unquote cheat with the airbrush and the smudge tool. Because once I start hatching I need to create all these effects just by actually hatching. Which is a silly limitation to put on myself, but it keeps it fun and it keeps me going. And this is starting to feel like a therapy session for myself. I guess that's why people stream. Cheaper than a therapist. I also need to study these type of patterns in clothing. I always end up doing these squiggle little doodles, but it has nothing to do with what actually is going on there. Oh boy. Remember to save your process. I think I've been throwing for almost a couple hours, and I just now saved. Very clever of me. My audio is very good. The rain sounds like you played on Spotify. Yeah, actually I'm playing rain on YouTube right now to go with the mood. It's actually raining outside and I can hear the rain, but I have a bunch of filters and noise gates on my microphone, so you don't get to hear my keyboard or all the squeaky sounds. So you just only hear my voice. But I play some music in the background just to go with the mood. Don't fake. Probably if I didn't have the filters on my microphone, you could actually hear the rain outside. But you would also hear a lot of noises. Yeah. It's all artificial nowadays. Yeah, these condenser microphones are really sensitive, so they actually pick everything up. But you would be hearing like every single key on my keyboard or my chair moving and squeaking around. So I feel like that's really annoying. That's why I'd rather have all the filters on. Give me a second. Alright people, I've been drawing for a while. I hopefully we will be streaming again soon. I'll try to make time for it. Thanks everyone for showing up. Hantian is a freaking legend, just showing up the minute I start streaming. But I gotta go rescue my girlfriend because she's stuck out there with the rain, and we would prefer if someone drives her around instead of having to cycle under the rain, so I'll be seeing you. Alright, thanks people. See you next time. Bye bye.